Here is the marine forecast. For the following marine locations: Laguna Madre from the port of Brownsville to the Arroyo Colorado, Laguna Madre from the Arroyo Colorado to 5 nautical miles north of Port Mansfield, Texas, and Laguna Madre from 5 nautical miles north of Port Mansfield to Baffin Bay, Texas. Small craft advisory in effect through Wednesday morning. Rest of today, south winds 20 to 25 knots with gusts up to 30 knots. Rough on the bay. Tonight, south winds 20 to 25 knots with gusts up to 30 knots, diminishing to 15 to 20 knots early in the morning. Rough on the bay, diminishing to choppy early in the morning. Wednesday, southwest winds 15 to 20 knots, becoming west 10 to 15 knots late in the morning, then becoming north in the afternoon. Choppy on the bay, diminishing to a moderate chop in the afternoon. Wednesday night, northeast winds 5 to 10 knots, becoming north 15 to 20 knots. Light chop on the bay, increasing to choppy. Thursday, northeast winds 15 to 20 knots, becoming east 10 to 15 knots late in the afternoon. Choppy on the bay, diminishing to a moderate chop late in the afternoon. Thursday night, east winds 10 to 15 knots, becoming southeast after midnight. A moderate chop on the bay. Friday, southeast winds 10 to 15 knots, increasing to 15 to 20 knots in the afternoon. A moderate chop on the bay, increasing to choppy in the afternoon. Friday night, southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, becoming south 5 to 10 knots. Choppy on the bay, diminishing to light chop. Saturday, southeast winds 5 to 10 knots, increasing to 10 to 15 knots in the afternoon. A moderate chop on the bay. Saturday night, southeast winds 10 to 15 knots. A moderate chop on the bay. Here is the marine forecast. For the following marine locations: coastal waters from Port Mansfield, Texas to Rio Grande out 20 nautical miles, and coastal waters from Baffin Bay to Port Mansfield, Texas out 20 nautical miles. Small craft advisory in effect through Wednesday morning. Rest of today, south winds 20 to 25 knots. Seas 5 to 7 feet, occasionally to 9 feet. Wave detail, southeast 7 feet at 7 seconds. Tonight, south winds 20 to 25 knots. Seas 6 to 8 feet, occasionally to 10 feet. Wave detail, southeast 7 feet at 7 seconds. Wednesday, south winds 15 to 20 knots, becoming west 10 to 15 knots late in the morning, then becoming north early in the afternoon, becoming north around 10 knots late in the afternoon. Seas 5 to 7 feet, occasionally to 9 feet, subsiding to 3 to 4 feet in the afternoon. Wave detail, southeast 6 feet at 7 seconds, becoming southeast 4 feet at 7 seconds. Wednesday night, northeast winds 5 to 10 knots, becoming north 20 to 25 knots. Seas 3 to 4 feet, building to 4 to 6 feet, occasionally to 8 feet after midnight. Wave detail, southeast 4 feet at 7 seconds, becoming east 5 feet at 6 seconds. Thursday, northeast winds 15 to 20 knots, diminishing to 10 to 15 knots late in the afternoon. Seas 5 to 7 feet, occasionally to 9 feet. Wave detail, northeast 7 feet at 7 seconds. Thursday night, east winds 10 to 15 knots, becoming southeast after midnight. Seas 3 to 5 feet. Wave detail, east 5 feet at 7 seconds. Friday, southeast winds 15 to 20 knots. Seas 3 to 5 feet. Friday night, southeast winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas 3 to 4 feet. Saturday, southeast winds 5 to 10 knots, increasing to 10 to 15 knots late in the afternoon. Seas 3 to 4 feet. Saturday night, southeast winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas 3 to 4 feet. Here is the marine forecast. For the following marine locations: waters from Port Mansfield, Texas to Rio Grande extending from 20 nautical miles to 60 nautical miles, and waters from Baffin Bay to Port Mansfield extending from 20 to 60 nautical miles. Small craft advisory in effect through Wednesday morning. Rest of today, south winds 20 to 25 knots. Seas 6 to 8 feet, occasionally to 10 feet. Wave detail, south 7 feet at 7 seconds. Tonight, south winds 20 to 25 knots with gusts up to 30 knots. Sea 7 to 9 feet, occasionally to 11 feet. Wave detail, south 8 feet at 7 seconds. Wednesday, south winds 20 to 25 knots with gusts up to 30 knots, becoming southwest 10 to 15 knots late in the morning, then becoming northwest early in the afternoon, becoming north late in the afternoon. Seas 6 to 8 feet, occasionally to 10 feet, subsiding to 4 to 5 feet in the afternoon. Wave detail, south 7 feet at 7 seconds, becoming southeast 5 feet at 7 seconds. Wednesday night, north winds 5 to 10 knots, increasing to 20 to 25 knots with gusts up to 30 knots. Seas 4 to 5 feet, building to 5 to 7 feet, occasionally to 9 feet after midnight. Wave detail, southeast 4 feet at 7 seconds and north 1 foot at 3 seconds, becoming north 7 feet at 6 seconds and southeast 4 feet at 7 seconds. Thursday, northeast winds 20 to 25 knots with gusts up to 30 knots, diminishing to 10 to 15 knots. Seas 6 to 9 feet, occasionally to 11 feet. Wave detail, northeast 9 feet at 7 seconds. Thursday night, east winds 10 to 15 knots, becoming southeast after midnight. Seas 4 to 6 feet, occasionally to 8 feet. Wave detail, northeast 5 feet at 7 seconds and southeast 3 feet at 4 seconds. Friday, southeast winds 15 to 20 knots. Seas 4 to 5 feet. Friday night, south winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas 3 to 5 feet. Saturday, southeast winds around 10 knots. Seas 3 to 4 feet. Saturday night, southeast winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas 3 to 4 feet. Now for the official National Weather Service forecast for Cameron and Willacy counties today. Sunny, windy with highs in the mid-80s. South winds 20 to 30 miles an hour with gusts up to 40 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly clear until midnight, then becoming partly cloudy. Windy with lows in the mid-60s. South winds 20 to 30 miles an hour, diminishing to 15 to 20 miles an hour after midnight. Wednesday, mostly sunny. Highs in the mid-80s. Southwest winds 10 to 15 miles an hour, becoming north 15 to 20 miles an hour in the afternoon. Wednesday night, mostly clear. Cooler with lows in the mid-50s. North winds 10 to 15 miles an hour with gusts up to 25 miles an hour. Thursday, sunny, cooler with highs in the lower 70s. Northeast winds 10 to 15 miles an hour with gusts up to 25 miles an hour. Thursday night and Friday, mostly clear. Lows in the mid-50s. Highs around 80. Friday night, mostly clear. Lows in the lower 60s. Saturday, mostly sunny. Highs in the mid-80s. Saturday night through Monday, mostly cloudy. Lows in the mid-60s. Highs in the mid-80s. Wind advisory remains in effect until 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time this evening. What? South winds 25 to 30 miles per hour with gusts 40 to 45 miles per hour. Where? Coastal Cameron, inland Willacy, and southern Hidalgo counties. When? Until 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time this evening. Impacts. Gusty winds will blow around unsecured objects. Tree limbs could be blown down and a few power outages may result. Winds this strong can make driving difficult, especially for high-profile vehicles. Use extra caution. Small craft advisory remains in effect until 7 a.m. Central Daylight Time Wednesday. What? South winds 15 to 25 knots with gusts up to 30 knots and seas 5 to 8 feet expected. Where? All lower Texas coastal waters including the Laguna Madre. When? Until 7 a.m. Central Daylight Time Wednesday. Impacts. Conditions will be hazardous to small craft. Inexperienced mariners, especially those operating smaller vessels, should avoid navigating in hazardous conditions. High rip current risk now in effect through Wednesday evening. What? Dangerous rip currents. Where? Kennedy Island, Willacy Island, and Cameron Island counties. When? Through Wednesday evening. Impacts. Rip currents can sweep even the best swimmers away from shore into deeper water. Swim near a lifeguard. If caught in a rip current, relax and float. Don't swim against the current. If able, swim in a direction following the shoreline. If unable to escape, face the shore and call or wave for help. Thank you for listening to Weather Radio, broadcasting to the Rio Grande Valley from your National Weather Service in Brownsville. Here's a look at the latest available marine conditions at 2 o'clock p.m. 35 miles northeast of Port Mansfield, south wind at 16 knots, gusting to 21. Air temperature 70 degrees, Gulf water temperature 68 degrees. Wave heights 7 feet, with a period of 8 seconds. 200 miles east of Port Isabel, south wind at 19 knots, gusting to 23. Air temperature 72 degrees, Gulf water temperature 74 degrees. Wave heights 4 feet, with a period of 5 seconds. Predicted tides for the South Padre Island jetties. Today, a high at 8:06 a.m. Wednesday, a low at 12:20 a.m. A high at 10:12 a.m. Water temperatures in the bay near Port Isabel, 72 degrees. In the surf at South Padre Island, 71 degrees. Sunrise today at 7:35 a.m. Sunset today at 7:40 p.m. The tropical weather outlook. For the North Atlantic, Caribbean Sea, and the Gulf of America, tropical cyclone formation is not expected during the next 7 days. Routine issuance of a tropical weather outlook will resume on May 15, 2025. During the off-season, special tropical weather outlooks will be issued as conditions warrant. Here's a look at your 2:00 p.m. weather conditions. At the International Airport in Brownsville, under sunny skies, the temperature was 83 degrees, dew point 60, making the relative humidity 45%. Winds were from the south at 31 miles an hour, gusting to 43 miles an hour. The pressure was 29.95 and falling. And at the Valley International Airport in Harlingen, under sunny skies, the temperature was 84 degrees, dew point 59, making the relative humidity 42%. Winds were from the southeast at 29 miles an hour, gusting to 39 miles an hour. The pressure was 29.92 and falling. Weather conditions across the region at 2 o'clock p.m. In Harlingen, sunny, temperature 84 degrees. Southeast wind at 29, gusting to 39 miles an hour. Bayview, light rain, temperature 80 degrees. South wind at 31, gusting to 44 miles an hour. Brownsville, sunny, temperature 83 degrees. South wind at 31, gusting to 43 miles an hour. Matamoros, mostly sunny, temperature 82 degrees. South wind at 17, gusting to 29 miles an hour. Edinburgh, sunny, temperature 86 degrees. South wind at 28. McAllen, sunny, temperature 87 degrees. South wind at 28, gusting to 38 miles an hour. Elsewhere across Texas at this hour, Laredo, sunny, 87 degrees. Del Rio, sunny, 84 degrees. El Paso, blowing dust, 74 degrees. Amarillo, mostly sunny, 81 degrees. At DFW Airport, mostly sunny, 79 degrees. Houston, partly sunny, 79 degrees. Austin, mostly sunny, 83 degrees. San Antonio, mostly sunny, 81 degrees. And in Corpus Christi, mostly sunny, 83 degrees. Now for the official...
Alright, that was a channel cycle. Why do I keep calling it that? Broadcast cycle of Wwg34 in Brownsville. But this one was a little bit special because there's a lot of conditions going on. And I'm going to try to get a red flag warning from the Weather Service in Brownsville. So maybe I'll screen record that. But, yep, that was it. currently on spring break right now in Matamoros. So, that is it.